Obedient action regardless of circumstances. In a world that was getting further and further from God by the day, Enoch's life was defined by being close to God, by pleasing God, by walking with God. I started to think about this with my own son, and he's about 3, and he's getting to the point where he likes to say no a lot. And there are times when I'm having a conversation with him where I'm saying, for instance, last night I was trying to get him to put his coat on before he went outside. And he's, no, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, Miles, you need to put your coat on. No, I don't want to do it. Okay, you're going to put your coat on or I'm just going to wig out right now, right? And I try to understand it from his perspective, right? He feels like I'm asking him to do something that he doesn't want to do. He's trying to insert his own authority into that moment. But the thing is, I have a much broader, bigger perspective on what he needs than he does. I think sometimes we find this word obedience to be kind of like this nasty word, as in like God's calling me to do something I don't want to do, and I've got to just do it. And in reality, when God's calling us to do something that we don't feel like we want to do in the moment, there is an amount of faith in knowing that he has a much broader perspective. He understands exactly what it is that we need in that moment, and he's got our best interest in mind. Obedience is much more about trusting in who God is and in knowing that he has your best interest in mind and that he knows what you need. And sometimes we're not obedient because we're either afraid to take the step of obedience or we're stubborn. We want our own way. We don't want to yield to God's authority. Or sometimes we're just completely unaware because we just haven't spent a lot of time really checking in on where we are, looking into a mirror very often. And if you're going to walk with God step by step through an entire lifetime, you're going to have to learn what obedience means. And you're going to have to realize that when God asks you to do something, he knows the whole story, he has the whole picture in mind, and he has your best interest in mind. And obedience becomes much more part of our relationship and part of us wanting to be in relationship with God when we look at it in that way. It's God, I know who you are, and I trust you. And even though not necessarily exactly there, I'm going to be obedient because I know you. And this is what you'd see on display in a person who walks step by step with God their entire life.